Hello, I'm Dave Dino, and this is Sponsor Spotlight, and today the Spotlight is on a category that many of us who are baby boomers have a great deal of interest in, or will have a great deal of interest in, and that is home care. Home care, I think we'll primarily talk about home care for seniors, although we're going to touch in a couple of other areas where home care is also needed, required, and very, very helpful. I am so happy to welcome to the microphone someone that is going to give you a lot of great information. He is Ryan Iwamoto. He is the owner and the co-founder of 24Hr HomeCare. That is the name of the company, 24Hr HomeCare. I hope you will get a pencil and a piece of paper together and that you will write down the contact information that I will give you. I'll give you both a phone number and also a website address, so you can take a look for yourself at what 24Hr HomeCare is all about. But first, let's kind of get into the substance of what we want to talk about. Ryan, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us today.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure to be here.
This, I think, is going to be very informative, very helpful for, as I said, a lot of baby boomers. Our parents are getting up in age, and they are getting to the point where they're going to need some assistance during the day. And that assistance, it can range, all the way from maybe an hour or two a day to 24-hour care?
Correct. We have clients that need a lot of different types of services, but in terms of a schedule, it can be anywhere from a few hours a day to 24-hour care.
Wow.
And anywhere in between. But the good part about home care is that it is flexible, and a company like 24-Hour Home Care, we're able to kind of match the schedule and also budget that you're looking for, too.
We're going to talk about budget in a little bit. Can you give us sort of in a nutshell an overview of what you do, what services you provide?
Yes, absolutely, Dave. We specialize in what's called the non-medical home care services. So what that is that we assist our clients in their own homes by providing a caregiver that can help out with a variety of different things, such as personal hygiene assistance, which can be bathing, grooming, dressing, helping with toileting. We can also help out with any sort of meal preparation, light housekeeping or homemaking services, medication reminders, medication management, and also transportation services as well, too. So if someone needs to go to a doctor's appointment, our caregiver can take them to the doctor's appointment, drive them there, accompany them there, and then bring them back home as well.
Can they take them also maybe to just go shopping at the grocery store?
Absolutely. We have a lot of clients that fully functional, they just cannot drive. So that's where we can step in and be that resource for them.
It's a tough thing for those of us who are getting older. It is a tough thing when we anticipate a time in our life when perhaps we're not as independent, we're not as self-sufficient as we once were. And we do actually need the assistance of someone else. How do you help someone through that emotional transition in their life?
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when people have lived so many years independently in their own home, our goal is to maintain that independence for them in their home. Mm-hmm. That's where home care comes in. We're the step hopefully before moving to a community or a nursing home or a facility. Our goal is to keep them in their home. And so what we do is we try to be very tactful with how we approach the services, because I would say most times it can be very daunting to have someone come into the home. So we start out with, we have a consultation that we provide free of charge that would go over all the different services. We set up exactly what type of assistance they would need help with, and we also pinpoint what type of caregiver would work best for them, because not only do we want to find someone that has the best experience to work with that client, we also want to make sure they have the right personality fit too, because that's just as equally as important to finding a good fit for somebody.
We are talking with Ryan Iwamoto. He is the owner and co-founder of 24Hr HomeCare. That is the name of the company, 24Hr HomeCare. You can reach them in a variety of ways, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about where they're located as well, because they cover pretty much all of the Southland. You cover both Los Angeles area and Orange County area, don't you?
Correct. We have 4 locations currently. We have one office in Encino that covers the San Fernando Valley area. We have another office in Culver City that covers the West Side, West Los Angeles, and also Los Angeles communities. We have another office in Torrance that covers South Bay and Long Beach, and then we just opened up an office in Irvine that covers all of Orange County.
Here's the phone number to call to get some information for yourself, 800-522-1516. Again, that's 800-522-1516. And I'll give that to you a couple of more times before our conversation is over. If you would like to take a look at them on the internet, they are at www.24cares.com. Now, the 24 is a number, 24, and then the word cares, C-A-R-E-S, 24cares.com. I want to get into this area of the most important things I would need to know if I were looking for a caregiver for, let's say, my dad. What would be the most important things that I should look for when it comes to home care?
That is a very, very great question, Dave. And that's obviously the number one question that we get whenever we meet with potential clients. And one of the things that I always say is the most important thing is to make sure you find a caregiver that's the right fit for your mom or dad or loved one. And what I mean by that is making sure that they have the right personality, and they also, screened properly to make sure that they have the right experience to work with, the conditions or limitations that your loved one may have as well too. So the first thing would probably be is to make sure you interview with that caregiver.
That they're just compatible, they get along.
Exactly. In any form of work or business, you always want to make sure you find someone that's going to be a right personality fit as well too, because especially if they're going to be spending whether it's 2 hours or 24 hours a day there, they got to be able to be a good personality fit.
And it's a big issue of trust, isn't it? I mean, this is my mom, this is my dad.
Yes.
And somebody's coming into their home to be with them for some amount of time. I really need to have a lot of trust in that person as well, don't I?
Absolutely.
How do you go about screening the people?
That's another good question too. One of the things I always tell too is, if you do go with an agency, one of the most important things is to make sure that the caregivers are bonded and insured by their agency. And what bonding and insuring mean is that the agency will cover all the liabilities, whether it's theft, damaged property, negligence, or even a workers' comp situation. Like if the caregiver hurts themselves, the client would not be responsible for any medical costs on behalf of the caregiver. So making sure that the caregivers are bonded and insured and covered through workers' comp is very, very important. In addition to that, making sure that the caregivers are screened with a nationwide criminal background check. And I do stress that it is a nationwide check.
I like that.
Yeah, and the reason being is, as an owner of a company, of course, I always do research on my competitors. And one of the things that I have seen is that a lot of companies only do a state or county-wide check. It is a lot cheaper, but we've seen firsthand where we've had people apply with us that had a clean background check in California, but when the nationwide background check comes back, they've had felony charges.
Wow.
So, and I've seen firsthand here in Los Angeles as well, caregivers that have worked for other agencies or worked for families privately that had criminal background checks in other states.
It's nice to know that you're doing such a thorough job in checking the background of the person who's coming into the home of my mom or my dad. Now, I've been talking about seniors, and I said that we were going to talk about more than seniors. I want to do that in a moment. The phone number to call to get more information about this company, 24-Hour Home Care, is 800-522-1516. 800-522-1516. On the web, you can find them at 24cares.com. That's the number 24 and then the word cares. So 24, C-A-R-E-S, 24cares.com. As I said, seniors are one. You also, though, list that you provide home care for children and for people with developmental disabilities. Let's chat just briefly for a moment about what the need would be with children. Yeah. We're not talking about babysitting.
We can also do babysitting as well. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to call you.
We have clients that sometimes just need that extra supervision. We have a lot of expecting mothers that might need additional help because maybe they don't have the help that they would need.
Right.
We also do work with developmentally disabled children and adults. We are actually one of the contracted providers with the regional centers. These are state-funded organizations that help families with developmentally disabled children and adults.
Oh, okay.
So we are a respite provider for some of their clients.
That kind of leads us into the issue of the cost and how a person can afford this. My understanding is that this is primarily privately funded, that this is not an insurance issue for the most part. It's not paid for by the state as a rule, right?
Correct. There are some programs that can help with the costs. Typically, it's used for low-income seniors and adults and children. But typically, it is an out-of-pocket cost. Although, if you do have long-term care insurance, there is policies that cover the home care side.
Okay, and my understanding is, and you'll want to check with your CPA on this, that if you need to provide this home care for someone in your household, and it is ordered by the doctor, if you can get a doctor's note specifying that this is necessary, then you do have some possibilities of some tax relief on that also.
Yeah, absolutely. I would obviously check with your CPA first, but I've had clients that were able to use as a tax deduction since it is a healthcare cost.
Wow. Lots to talk about, lots to know about. And you really, I'm sure, as a listener, you have your specific needs and your specific questions. Perhaps you have someone in your home, a child or an adult, with a developmental disability, and you need some home care for them. Or maybe it has come to a point for your mom or your dad where they can use a little extra help around the house, whether it's to help them in areas of hygiene or meal preparation or maybe some light housework, or maybe they just need some transportation around town. They're no longer able to drive safely. Call this number and find out what 24-hour home care this company can do for you. It is 800-522-1516, 800-522-1516. Check them out on the web also at 24cares.com. Now, just because the title says 24-hour doesn't mean you have to hire somebody for 24 hours. You can hire them for whatever hours are needed and necessary. Again, check them out at 24cares.com or call them at 800-522-1516. I'm Dave Dino, and this is Sponsor Spotlight.